of FreeUp, and basically he finds, VAs or distant workers. They're not all in other countries. So you need higher end people. He does it as well. So we're just going to talk tonight a little bit about outsourcing parts of your Amazon business. So welcome, Nathan.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I love talking about outsourcing. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I know that the power of hiring. I've scaled my Amazon business. I've sold over $25 million on Amazon, all from hiring people. Even with FreeUp, we've gone from $1 million to $5 million to a run rate of $8 million, all from hiring freelancers. The freelancers billed me 800 hours last week. So I really practice what I preach. I know how important it is, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Awesome. So, most of our viewers are Amazon sellers. I hope a lot of my users of the sourcing secret tools that we've developed is in here tonight. And, basically I just wanted to have you on so we could talk about some of the things that, people may not have considered to use FreeUp for, to outsource on their own, Amazon business. Because, most people, myself included, when I started, I just didn't feel like I could outsource those tools. But now, we basically outsource, pretty much everything for our Amazon business, from sourcing things for, when we do online arbitrage, obviously for wholesale, and, even maintaining our Amazon account. So, why don't you share with us a few of the, the kind of jobs that you, have found people for, to use Amazon for.
Definitely, and I'm going to post some ebooks here too. The answer is you can really outsource and hire for everything. I love when I see Facebook posts where they're like, oh, you shouldn't outsource their PPC, you shouldn't outsource your listing, you shouldn't outsource your sourcing. And I'm always commenting, all right, not only do I do it, but I have lots of clients that do it as well. I kind of like to think of hiring into 3 different levels. So you've got the lower level workers who are followers. They have years of experience, especially with FreeUp, because we're not a marketplace for newbies, but they're really there to follow your systems, your processes. They're non-US, $5 to $10 an hour. If you don't have your systems or processes in place, you really need to spend some time figuring those out before you hire that type of worker. And that could be customer service. It could be sourcing or going through wholesale lists. It could be data entry work or just basic business operations. It could be some Amazon work. It could be listing products or doing flat files, as long as you have a system and a process for it. Then you've got the mid-level people, the $10 to $30 an hour, US or non-US. These people are specialists. They do the same thing every day, whether it's bookkeeping, graphic design, Amazon listings, optimizing, SEO. You're hiring them to do certain things. You might keep them on call. You might use them more ongoing here and there, but they're doers. They're not there for you to teach them what to do, although you can tweak what they do to fit your needs. They're not there to consult with you either. They're the doers. And then you got the experts, the $25 to $75 an hour people. They can come in, audit your business, audit parts of your business, execute high-level game plans. They can project manage. They can help create systems and processes for your basic level workers. So whenever you're hiring, you really should be trying to figure out, hey, do I need that person to follow my systems and processes? Do I need that specialist who can just do? Or do I need that expert to turn something that I might not be good at or not know how to do into a strength?
Right. And for our business, we definitely are using, I have, low-level workers, and then with FreeUp, I have workers that are, $50 an hour or more. So there's definitely, a huge range of, of workers available, from, the most common tasks to like ridiculously complicated stuff that I can't even figure out. So, I have a development team that develops my software, and FreeUp has one person that, like, when none of them can figure it out, that's the guy I call. So, and I have, a lot of US-based workers, and, a lot of you may not ever need that, but, the best thing about FreeUp, and it's why I've been talking about it for a couple of years now, is when I can't, when I would hire virtual, at one point I said I didn't even want to ever hire any more, distance workers, the remote workers, the VAs, or whatever you want to call them, you know, because it was just so hard and so time consuming. You know, before FreeUp came around, when I wanted to hire somebody, I would go on one of them, you know, Freelancer or whatever those sites are called now. There's tons of them out there. But when I would go, you know, to do it, I would put an ad out, and everybody, like every person responds to it, you know, who sees the ad in that category. They don't even read your job postings. They don't care. They just respond with a form letter, you know, and then we'd have to make up like little codes, like, you know, what's your favorite color? Or, you know, what's the third question I asked you? Because, you know, just to make sure that they actually read what you said. And then only a small portion of them would even respond to that, because they respond to every job posting, you know, with a form letter. And then, you know, you have a simple job you want to hire for, and you have literally 300 applicants every time, and you waste so much time doing all that. But I mean, literally when I started using FreeUp, you know, I tell Nathan, or, you know, fill out his form, and, you know, an hour later, I think it's up to 24 hours it could take. It usually doesn't take that long. You know, they come back with, you know, one person. And if I don't like that person, they give me, you know, another person. So they find the person who meets your job the best that's actually available. You know, all those freelancer sites, they're applying for jobs while they're still working for somebody else. I mean, there's so much that's just so awesome about FreeUp, because, you know, a VA should be saving you time, not costing you more. So not only do they find people who can do what you want, you know, exactly what you want, and a lot of times they'll, you know, they have people who are trained, like people who know, you know, specific parts of Amazon, or, you know, even if you need people who can use Excel or, you know, Word or whatever it is, you know, Google Drive, you know, they already have people who know that stuff. And it's not just somebody said, you know, to FreeUp, yeah, I know how, you know, to, you know, file claims on Amazon. It's, you know, they're vetting every worker before they ever get to you. It's only like the top 1 or 2%, right, that actually, you know, make it through the application process on FreeUp. So you don't have to deal with all those applications. All you have to do is tell them what you want. They give you the worker. If you don't like them, and I mean, one of the best things is if they quit, FreeUp, you know, pays for all that time to retrain them. And I don't think I've ever had anybody quit, you know. Usually we just get done with whatever we needed done, and you move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really based on my own hiring experience. I went through the exact same thing that Shawn went through when I was hiring for my Amazon business. I could get the talent. It took forever. Right? We had to come up with all these different tests, all these different interview questions. We had to post jobs in different places, get all those applicants. And at the end of 5 years, we had this great process that would really get us top level people, not only on skill, but on attitude and communication. But we still have to go through that process all the time. And hiring is repetitive. It's hard. And I remember one day I threw something at the wall because I had just done 8 hours of interviews, and I just couldn't do it anymore. And that's when I came up with the idea of FreeUp. And even FreeUp gets hundreds of applicants every week, freelancers from all over the world. Last week we got 800 applicants, and we let 4 people in. We normally reject 99 out of every 100 applicants we get. So we're pretty picky. It's a pretty long and vigorous interview process, from the application to the one-on-one interview and test to our terms of use and best practices that they have to memorize and get tested on before they get in the marketplace. We spend a lot of time on that. And then we back it up too, because we also understand these are real people, and even the best virtual assistants in the world aren't the best fit for every single client in the world. So we try to make the best fits possible. We're there to back it up if you have even the smallest issue, smallest need. Like I mentioned, freelancers rarely quit on FreeUp. Of course, it's real life. It does happen from time to time. And if it does, we cover replacement costs and get you a new person right away. There's no going back and forth with us. We just do it. We make it right so everyone can just move on, and you can continue operating it and growing your business like you should be. And that's really the whole concept that we've been focused on since the beginning.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's, you know, I mean, that's one of the biggest perks, I think, of FreeUp is, you know, obviously the hassle-free hiring, but, you know, if you ever do lose, you know, lose a worker, then, they're going to replace them and, pay for all that training because, I mean, the training is obviously the most important part. They're doing training on their end to make sure that the kind of workers that you want, dependable, respectful. And, almost everything that we do is, in our business is very, proprietary and, with, in our case, at least, I can't just have somebody else, replace them, if they're sick. But I have, one of my workers, unfortunately, has a lot of sickness in their family. So, there are times that she's not available, but she's such a great worker that I just don't want, I'm not going to let her go over that. But, if any of your workers are sick, they're always in contact with FreeUp, who's their employer. And then, they have people who can, take over for them that day if there's anything that you need to cover, in sickness. I mean, with regular VAs, their power is out, they're sick, their dog died like once a week, and, electricity problems, and their computers break. And, it was always just such a horrible experience for me, no matter where we're hiring from, if it's the Philippines or, so I got to the point where I just hired people here in the U.S. and, that has all of its own problems and, along with, a ridiculous expense to go along with that. So, Nathan has posted a few links in there, and I'll email everybody out the same link. So, some good guides that I've gone over to hire, the process you need to go through to hire a virtual assistant. If you're hiring a family member or someone local, or a remote worker, it's all the same. You have to, have a good process to teach them, but, beyond that, I mean, the time and the effort that, we say, like we were saying at the beginning of the call that, I'm going on a months-long trip, without having to worry about my business shutting down. Obviously I'll be working in that time, but, I don't have to be there to watch over people because, most of my employees are now, remote workers, if they're in the Philippines or the U.S. or, whatever country they're in, I can now deal with them from wherever, in the country or the world that I'm at now. And I couldn't do that without, a company like FreeUp. I think you have a little bit of a deal for everybody on the webinar tonight, Nathan.
I do. Anyone that signs up from the webinar gets a free $50 credit added to their account. And definitely go to Shawn's link, freeup.com/Shawn Mayo. I also want to dive in for those of you who haven't hired before. I have kind of a 5-step process that I'd like to share that might help you guys out. A lot of my clients use it. I personally use it just to make sure that you save as much time as possible, identify what you want. So the 5-step process you start off with is figuring out what you want to take off your plate. And this is so important because there's so much going on in your business that you really have to divide it up into 2 lists. And the first list is everything that you do on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. And you can prioritize it from easiest to hardest. Usually it start off with the data entry, the customer service, but really focus on how can I get 1 hour back in my day, 2 hours back in my week. You don't have to wake up one day and hire 20 people. You can start small and slowly build it up. But circle the 3 easiest things on your list and start hiring today. And once you make good hires, it becomes addicting and you can take more and more off your list. Now, once you get better at hiring or you get a bigger budget, the second list is a list of your weaknesses, things you're not good at. And it's important that you do a self-assessment because so many entrepreneurs fall into the trap where they're doing things that they're not really qualified to do. If they worked for a corporation, the corporation wouldn't feel comfortable giving them that task, yet they're doing it over and over. I mean, I could spend the next 6 months learning how to be an Amazon PPC expert. Not a great use of my time. I'd much rather hire an expert to come in and take that weakness and turn into a strength so that I can focus on my core competency. So step 1 is identifying what you take off your plate. Step 2 is identifying what that perfect person looks like, because I promise you, if you don't know what that perfect person looks like, it's going to be very hard for me and my team to know what that perfect person looks like. So really figure out, is it US? Is it non-US? What's the budget? Is it one time? Is it ongoing? Is it 10 hours a week? Is it full-time? Do they have to be able to work weekends? Do they have to be able to speak voice, or is text okay? Figure out what's important to you. What does that perfect person look like? Step 3 is put in a request. Whether you're using FreeUp or not, post the job and interview people. And when you're interviewing, don't just look at the skill. Don't just look at their references and their background. Obviously, that's important, but focus on the attitude and the communication as well. Are they passionate about what they do, or are they just in it for the paycheck? Do they show up every day with a smile? Are they do they actually care about your business as a client and not just billing the hours and getting that stuff done? So really focus on the attitude and the communication. Can they speak English at a high level? Can they show up on time? Can they hit estimates? Can they hit due dates? If they do have a family personal emergency, which we all have, do they at least update you, or do they just disappear? And when we are doing a lot of that vetting for you on that, what you should be focused on is, are they the right fit for me? Because even the best virtual assistant in the world, not the best fit for every client. So we've vetted for those 3 things. You should be focused on, are they the fit for me? And what are the red flags that they're saying that means that they might not be the best fit? So we have identifying what you're looking for, identifying what taking off your plate, identify what your perfect person looks like, interview and make sure they're the right fit for you. And step 4 is the part that everyone forgets. You want to spend time setting expectations up front. Too many people just hit the ground running. They complete the interview. Okay, this person's for me. Here's a big project. Here's 25 listings to optimize. Here, run my campaigns for 3 months. You have to get on the same page first and make it as black and white as you possibly can. The last thing you want is any kind of gray area, any kind of he said, she said down the line. If your budget per month is $500, make sure that's clear and agreed to in writing. If you have a phone call, step back, send an email with all the information on the phone call, have them confirm it. We even have a client expectations document that you can fill out and go, hey, these are my pet peeves. Hey, this is what is success. This is what's failure. Just really lay everything out there. And I even give people a chance to back out, because if I have very high expectations, and I would much rather that someone looks at my expectations and says, you know what, I can't meet these, than just waste my time for a month and then I fire them anyway and I start all over again. So step 4 is setting those expectations. And then step 5, and this is so important, is that feedback loop. Because you might hire someone and very rarely do they do 100% of what you want on the first day, on the first week. And if you find someone like that, great, they do exist. But most likely they're going to do 92% of what you want or 95% of what you want. And you want to give feedback. Hey, this is what you need to do differently. Hey, please do this revision. Hey, you forgot step C, whatever it is. And give them a chance to adjust for that feedback. And you really want to look for 2 things. 1, I don't work with people that take feedback personally, because feedback is so important. I need to be able to give them feedback and have them accept it. And 2, can they actually listen to my feedback and adjust, and not just adjust short term where I have to keep telling them the same thing over and over and over, but can they listen to my feedback and implement it going forward? So that's really that 5-step process. Identify what you want to take off your plate, what the perfect person looks like, are they the right fit for me with the interview, set the expectations, and then start that feedback loop. And if you focus on that 5-step process and continue to make it better and better over time, you're going to make a lot more successful hires.
Definitely.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions that people have.
I think we've covered all the questions so far, but yeah, any other questions, just post them in the chat or hit that Q&A button. I did want to talk about, hopefully for some of my sourcing secret users that'll watch the replay. As far as wholesale, we've kind of solved a lot of the wholesale problems, for those guys, but I did want to touch on what really, we could be using FreeUp for, and what we are using FreeUp for. Past that point, obviously, contacting brands and opening new accounts, or finding out exactly what they need to open their accounts, is a huge, a huge part of where I think their time is being wasted. So, I think FreeUp is a perfect fit. I mean, you don't need any, you can probably use an entry-level worker with FreeUp to be sending emails, opening accounts. It's really a simple process. Once you do it yourself, you can basically just replicate those, make a video, or write out exactly what it is you want done. And obviously be sharing your account with anybody you employ. So it makes FreeUp a great fit to be able to take your sourcing to the next step with hiring a remote worker. There's really not a whole lot to that. You can open up an email account for them, and then just use that for use that as a shared account that they can be using to open up accounts that you've already requested.
Yeah, I just posted my exact lead generation strategy in the chat. I apologize for the noise. I was trying to paste. It was a little bit large. But it's 8 steps. I do it even today. I did it back in 2011 when I was trying to get manufacturers, and I used the same priced VAs to get me over 500 manufacturers I was working with. The goal was to get them on the phone, and I kept creating systems where they would do the research, they'd put them into a doc. I would send out and do split testing with different emails. I would get them on the phone and close them. I would teach them what to look for, what not to look for. In my situation, it was drop shipping. So they were looking for, hey, is the product small enough for it to make sense to drop ship? Do they drop ship? Do they allow sales on Amazon? All that kind of stuff. You would come up with your own criteria, of course. And I do the same thing today for lead generation for FreeUp, for trying to get on podcasts and trying to meet up with influencers and get clients and contact agencies. So it's a very effective process that works very well. And a lot of people don't utilize this enough. I mean, you can spend thousands of dollars on marketing every month when a lot of people can set up a very cost-effective lead generation team that's consistent every single day. And you look out a year from now, and all of a sudden you have all these great relationships, these great leads at an affordable price. And it's like anything else. You could go 3 days and get no leads. And today I woke up and I had 10 email responses. And you always want to be tweaking and adjusting and learning. And the cool thing is the same people that I use for my lead gen team, I got from the FreeUp marketplace. They're available to clients. I'm more than happy to introduce you to them. And they can bring a little bit to the table. They can share ideas. They can show you what works and what doesn't work. So while keeping everything that's actually proprietary secure. So definitely, I encourage you to try that out. It's I find it one of the most fun things about being an entrepreneur is experimenting with lead gen, because you always just find something and it leads to a massive ROI. And it's a lot of fun. So if anyone has any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them.
That sounds awesome. So, sorry, Jerry, I don't know what you mean some of the Q&A has been erased. We mark them as answered when we do answer them, but I did not see a Q&A message from you. Actually, Greg's the only one who's posted anything in the Q&A. So, yeah, definitely. So if there's not any other questions, I think I posted the link in here. I'm not sure. If there's any other questions, please put them in there. Or if you asked a question, Jerry, please let us know, because I didn't get anything in the Q&A from you.
The links that are gone? They're right above if you scroll up.
I mean, you can scroll up in the chat if that's...
If you really can't find it, just shoot me an email, nathan@freeup.com, and I'm more than happy to send them to you.
Right, and we're going to... everything that Nathan put in the chat, we're going to go and send to you when we post the replay as well, everybody who registered. So if you want to sign up, I believe it says $25, but Nathan said he'll give everybody, Nathan's doubling that, so anybody on the webinar will get a $50 credit. So, I mean, that's like 10 free hours, up to 10 free hours, depending on, who you may want to hire. It's pretty easy to create an account. Just be sure to use that coupon code. You can try out a VA or try out a couple of workers, without having really anything to worry about. What about hiring an upper level worker to train a lower worker for me to do my sourcing online arbitrage?
Definitely. Kim, you and I talked about this today on the phone. So I mentioned there's 3 levels of workers. I don't really think there's a mid-level for sourcing for whatever reason. Freelancers just tend to be the lower or the expert level. The lower level follow those instructions, those processes, and the expert people can actually come in and see, hey, what are you trying to accomplish? What's your budget? Here's some strategies that have worked before, and help you actually come up with that system and then test and tweak that system. So yes, if you really are lost and you can't come up with those systems and processes, we do have experts you can hire short term to create them, and then you can even keep them in your back pocket going forward if you need a consultation or whatever it is. And I mean, we all know with Amazon, stuff comes up, issues pop up, they change things, and having an expert in your back pocket is a fantastic thing as you go along and build your Amazon business.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I could probably use a little bit of that myself for some stuff I don't have time for. But yeah, let's see if we got some other suggestions on how to for using VAs for sourcing secrets. Not sure exactly what they mean, but yeah, we can definitely do another webinar, you know, without Nathan for sourcing secret members on how to, you know, how to use a VA specifically for that task. But without that, I don't think there's any other questions, so we'll be wrapping it up. Thanks so much for joining us, Nathan. And he is in the Sourcing Secret group, so if you're not in there, you can join us, or all our Sourcing Secret members can ask questions directly to Nathan, and he'll be happy to help you out. I definitely suggest you sign up. I mean, we've been using FreeUp for about 2 years now, I think, and it's I mean, it's just been amazing for us. So thanks a lot, guys. And if you missed any of the stuff in the chat, or you didn't see the Q&A, you can, or if you joined late, we'll send that all email to everybody who registered. So that'll probably be sometime tomorrow. You'll get that along with the replay and everything you missed. So thanks a lot, Nathan, and we'll see you guys next time.